Good afternoon. This is Curtis with Question Everything. I'm here with the lovely Maya Batash. How you doing today?
Good. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thanks for inviting me to this park, and thanks for being game for this interview. I caught wind of you, you're a visionary filmmaker and an acclaimed filmmaker. Did you go to school for filmmaking? How did you find yourself into this film, Talking to God?
Yeah, I'm. I did go to school for filmmaking. I. This is my second feature film, Talking
Oh,
to God. My first one was called Out of the Fog, and I'm working on other projects.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say your film Talking to God? I mean, obviously, there's a lot in that title, but what would you say is what encapsulates talking to God? What would you say, like in two or three lines?
I'd say it's a film about how to be happy based on the wisdom of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, who is an expert on joy and uh, how to utilize spiritual practices to enjoy life more, to feel an inner joy more. But it's not a documentary. It's a story. It's a narrative story about a woman who's confused, is having problems in her life, and she's kind of roped into going on this trip to the Ukraine, Uman, Ukraine, with a bunch of kind of kooky women. And she goes there and she has this dream where she sees this man in the dream who is always happy, even though he has nothing. He lives like in a little hole in the wall. And that story is one of Rabbi Nachman's stories. It's called Emunah Bitachon in Hebrew, or Faith and Trust. And it's a story about a man who has nothing but is always happy.
Mm.
So the whole film explores what is happiness, how to attain it, and yeah, that's what the story's
Yeah.
about.
Well, with the production of the film, and then of course the subsequent release of the film, which eventually went digital, it was not actually released in theaters, as we know, because it was released during COVID
Yes,
time.
yeah.
So there was a digital platform release, and there are some screenings from here to there. Well, what did you learn happiness is, was, will be, according to Rev Nachman?
Um, well, I think it's a process that involves connection, because most of the time, if a person is feeling unhappy, it's because they feel disconnected, whether it's disconnected from a higher power or from themselves. And so, one of the main things that Rabbi Nachman talks about in terms of happiness is to connect to your higher power on a regular basis, whatever your religion, and that involves talking to God.
Right.
So to have an actual conversation with God, as if he's your best friend or your therapist, or whoever you would talk to the most freely, and giving yourself a time to do that, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour, and you'll find that through doing that, you get this gift of a feeling of connection, a feeling of inner joy. Plus, it gives you a time to really like talk to someone who
Mm.
can actually help you
Yeah.
with whatever your issues are, whatever your problems are, whatever's going on in your life.
What do you think Rev Nachman would have thought about living in modern day 2023 where we're addicted to our technologies? We don't even say hello to anymore. I mean, the whole culture changed as far as I'm concerned. How do you think if he was to be transported in a Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure style, he showed up to modern day Jerusalem, what would he say? What would he think?
I think he probably would have said, "Yeah, I told you so. I knew this would happen," and use my techniques, because that's the only way out. Otherwise, people can get stuck in this 24/7 technology kind of life where you never let go. You're never disconnected from anything. And the problem is these things, these gadgets we have, connect us to things that don't really make us feel happier after we're connected to them. So that's why it's really important to go within and do talking to God.
Right. Yeah, he was very much a radical in his own right, and he was very much a futurist in many ways. He kind of was very much ahead of his times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. You see a lot of his teachings, a lot of things he talked about in the popular culture now that are known. People talk about that he talked about over 200 years ago.
Right, in regards to like self help and this kind of
Yeah, a lot of the things that are known things that help in self help.
Mhm.
He wrote about.
Right.
He talked about, and his main student Rabbi Natan wrote down. And so yeah, he's a person ahead of his time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you wrote, you starred, you produced the film. Is it wrote, produced? directed the film.
Well, I wrote part of it. There's the part that's a Rebbe Nachman story that's
Yeah.
in the film. I modernized it a bit, but
Mhm.
it's his story.
Mhm.
And yeah, Baruch Hashem, I was able to produce it. I had co-producers.
Mhm.
I had a large crew, thank God,
Mhm.
and I acted in it. But I had about 30 other actors.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank God, and yeah, it was
Wow.
a it was a collaborative process which could not have happened without God's help.
Wow. And from soup to nuts, how long did it take from the pre-production up to release? How long was that period of time?
I would say about 8 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, from writing it, raising the money till release.
Wow. And you've had theatrical releases throughout Israel and throughout the world,
Yeah,
yes?
yeah.
Yeah. Where can people find the film?
If you go to talkingtogodmovie.com, there's a link to watch it from the US or Europe, and there's a link to watch it if you're in Israel. In America and Europe, it's available on iTunes, Amazon, Apple TV, Google Play, things like that. In Israel, it's available on Vimeo.
Mhm. Cool. What was your inspiration for the film? How did you get the idea for it? What made you want to write this film and go on this adventure?
My inspiration was I was going through a tough time, and I started reading the Garden of Amuna book,
Mhm.
and it gave me a lot of help, it
Mhm.
gave me a lot of relief. And then a friend of mine recommended I go to
Mhm.
Uman with her, and the trip changed my life.
Mhm.
And I went back a second time, and during the second trip, this idea came to me. I said, "Wow, I should I should make a movie about this
Mhm.
experience."
Mhm.
And that's how it started.
Wow. Let me ask you. So you
And
grew,
it took over my life.
and it took over your life.
Yeah,
Wow. Now you grew up in New York City,
in Queens.
in
Yeah.
Queens. Okay.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't know if you're a product of the '80s and '90s, but I certainly was a product of pop culture. Were you into movies, music, pop culture?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And did you, as you stepped into your Jewish journey, your religious journey, did you find that it was hard to sort of reconcile these two, love for Judaism, love for pop culture?
I mean, I don't think it has to be either or. I'm not a rabbi or a rebbitzin or anything,
Hmm.
but my personal opinion is I prefer not to be extreme in any way. I prefer to like take the things that not to throw away things that give me joy, as long as it's not anything that's gonna destroy me.
Hmm.
So I like to keep things that make me happy, and but also within limits. So
Yeah. Now
yeah.
you've entered this film in film festivals, and in a prior incarnation, I worked in the film business, and we go to film festivals and all that fun stuff. Did you find it hard to sort of brand yourself as sort of like an Orthodox Jewish filmmaker? Was that kind of at the time? Is there a community of Jewish female Orthodox filmmakers? I mean, I don't really know of any. To be frank, I don't. I think you're it. I don't know if you're. There may be a few of you
No,
guys.
there are more. There are other women Orthodox filmmakers, but they're not that many. Um, so I wasn't really looking to brand myself. If anything, I was trying to hide. I was trying to just sell the film for its worth. I wasn't selling it on me. I was
Hmm.
selling it on, basically, it's a funny, amazing film about happiness, and who
Hmm.
doesn't want to see a film about that? It's a film that's not meant to be only for Jews. It's meant to be for everyone, because these teachings are for everyone,
Hmm.
and it's like a gift, and it's a gift that makes you laugh. So I wanted it to be a global thing. I didn't really need or want to sell myself in a specific small category. I don't want the film just to be for a small category of
Hmm.
people.
Hmm. Yeah. So you had so many titles on the film. What was your favorite? Acting, producing, writing?
I would say the writing and working on the music together with the composer was the most fun. Yeah.
Hmm. Nice. What type of art inspires you right now? What do you what did what kind of things inspired you for the film and today?
Well, I'm a big I like comedy, and the type of comedy I like is usually Mel Brooks or Woody Allen, things like that.
Hmm.
And that's what inspired me for the film. That kind of like tongue in cheek,
Hmm.
sort of way of looking at the world.
Right.
Now I'm still very into comedy, but the kind of working on something that's a little bit more suspenseful at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give us a sneak peek as to what you're working on right now?
Well, I would, but then I have to kill you.
Nope.
I'd rather you stay alive.
No, I'd
So
rather stay
yeah,
alive as well.
yeah.
Anything you can share with our audience that where
Well,
you won't kill me?
okay. I'm working on a comedic series
Oh, okay.
about characters in Israel, and currently looking for funding and getting it together that way. So yeah.
What would you tell future filmmakers, people who have a vision? Nowadays everyone's got a film camera in their pocket, right? So if with a little bit of innovation, and I know there have been films that have been entered into film festivals just based off of what an iPhone creates. I mean, I use that for my own format. What would you say to visionary filmmakers about the hustle or just trying to get a project off the ground? What would you recommend?
To really like believe in your project, to the most important thing is if it's something that's if it's a story, to really make sure the writing is good first, because if it's really well written, then it has more of a chance of success. If it's not kind of half poorly written, it's hard to like fix it. No matter how great your camera is, no matter how much money you have to produce it, or even if you have great stars, if something's really solidly written,
How
that's
do you know when something's solidly written? Should it just flow off the page? Should you be laughing every 2 seconds?
first of all, you have to like it.
Hmm.
You have to like it, but then it's always good to get opinions of people you trust. I wouldn't get opinions of people you don't know or not really in the field, but
Right.
people you trust.
Plus, there are
And
a lot of dream stealers out there too.
what do you mean?
Well, I find people with anyone who has kind of an innovative vision, you have a lot of naysayers out there, and sometimes people aren't so happy for your success. You have to really choose your friends wisely. That's my feeling.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, always like in life, you have to
that's right in
choose.
life. That's
You
right.
have to choose who you spend your time with.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. People will either be an asset or they can be a liability sometimes. So, okay, very good. And you live here in Israel,
Yeah.
right? How long have you been living here now?
8 years.
What brought you out here?
I just kind of fell in love with it. I mean, just come, you'll
Were
fall in
you
love with it.
traveling through? Like, well, how did you get here?
I was visiting a lot. I came for bar mitzvah, and that trip kind of like turned my head, and I started meeting people who moved here, and I saw the kind of life that there is here. I saw that you can live here with your own identity, and it's a part of you here, and you can celebrate the chagim, like really celebrate it here, not
Mhm.
in a way you can't when you're not in your when you're not here, and you just feel connected in a way and
Mhm.
happier. Baruch Hashem.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you feel like in America or really anywhere outside of Israel that we can't really be completely integrated, if you will?
I mean, look, everybody's different. This was just my experience. Um, I don't want to say, you can't this way, you can't that way. Everybody's got their own path,
Hmm.
their own tikkunim, their own things they have to do wherever they are. But I say visit, and if it speaks to you, maybe it's something to think about.
Right. What kind of advice would you give to someone who's seriously considering moving to Israel? Are there any things that they should know or things that you wish you knew 8 years ago?
Well, have patience, try to create a good social community, friends, because it's important, especially if you're coming on your own. You need to feel like you're grounded. You need to feel like you have friends. Connect if you're coming from America or Canada. Try to connect with Nefesh B'Nefesh. Try to get a job ahead of time, so you feel like, if you can, so you feel like you're not starting from total scratch.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, excellent. And we'll look for your series. What else do you like to do in your spare time when you're not making movies or TV shows and changing the world one Breslauer at a time?
I like to do improv
Okay,
comedy.
yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
I performed in America. I was part of a group, and here I'm doing it a little bit, but starting an improv group here, God willing.
Hmm.
I like to paint. I do portraits.
What are the benefits of improving?
It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun and lets you let go and be in the moment, which is nice.
Mhm. Do you think improving pre-COVID, post-COVID, is there any difference? Or people have a harder time being around humans anymore, or because we've gone so saturated in the virtual medium, are people having a harder time physically, or is it changed?
Now I don't see any difference anymore. But yeah, I mean, during COVID, nothing was really happening. But
Hmm.
now, no, I think everything, thank God, is back
Right.
to normal.
Okay, very good. And where can people find you? You said Vimeo and all these
In
great
Israel,
platforms.
in Israel, it's in Vimeo, but the rest of the world, well, just go to the website talkingtogodmovie.com.
Mhm.
Or you could put in, if you have iTunes, Apple TV, Google Play, Fandango. I will be starting, God willing, a YouTube channel with some other little short films.
Oh, cool.
And probably just look for my name, Maya Batash, on YouTube.
Okay, great.
And there'll be some more sketchy, fun comedies. Yeah.
Cool. Well, do you have any closing thoughts for the audience and anybody who is out there watching on
Uh,
their phones or on TV or wherever they
uh,
are?
Come to Israel, visit. You'll have fun.
I'm here with the lovely Maya Batash. Don't forget to question everything.